Welcome to Hamim Royale.
You've described it as a film about a woman in trouble.
A woman in trouble, yeah. I always say this, a film is sort of like a book, and the author maybe passes away, so you can't go talk to them. And people have a right to analyze the thing and say what it is for them and to criticize it one way or another. It's beautiful, but I really believe the film should stand on its own.
The longest running radio play in history. Tonight.
Today on Axon and Dan, we have a new name, we have a new show. Well, it's the same show, the same people, but like our own Blue Tomorrows, we will be changing character names for the next 6 episodes as we dive into Inland Empire. We'll be Axon End, the longest running podcast in history. It never ends. We can't escape.
Just like our previous podcast, we just keep finding ways to continue going. We're gonna be jumping in and out of narratives, playing different roles. Actually, we won't be playing different roles. I think very much it's going to be a similar thing of me asking Eric, what the heck is going on, and you giving me your impressions, just like we did with The Return. So I think it's going to be a lot of the same. But wow, this is going to be incredible. At least six episodes discussion of this.
The nice thing about having an episode 0 is I don't have to talk about how it was made. I can just talk about Inland Empire. So let's start that machine up, Dan.
I'm going to drop the needle on the record player, get the projector rolling.
On High and Blue Tomorrows is in fact a remake. It's a remake. Yeah, I wouldn't do a remake. No, I know, of course, but you didn't know. The original was a different name. It started, it was never finished. Now, Freddie's found out that our producers know the history of this film and they have taken it on themselves not to pass on that information to us. Purposefully. Not me, and I assume not the two of you. True?
No, absolutely. Nobody told me anything.
No, me neither. I thought this was an original script.
Yeah, well. Anyway, the film was never finished. Something happened before the film was finished.
I don't understand. Why wasn't it finished?
Well, after the characters had been filming for some time, they discovered something inside the story.
Please, Kingsley.
The two leads were murdered.
And we're going to start right here. Eric, at the very beginning, a record plays, Axon N, the longest running radio play in history, is heard over the titles.
And even before that, you get that beautiful shot of like darkness. And like that projector light just shoots through, it just cuts through there, and you get the Inland Empire logo that comes on as you go into that phonograph, the radio play. You know, tonight continuing in the Baltic region, a gray winter day in an old hotel. I think the fact that it's a radio play, like something spoken, it's not something visual, We talk about making a movie for the next 3 hours. But it's like old. It's like an old tale. It's older than television. It's a Polish folk tale. It's a folk tale. It's something passed on from generation to generation. Is amazing. Well, I should say, Axon N, like Rabbits, was going to be a web series. When DavidLynch.com first premiered, there was like a press release. And I'll read it to you here. This is from Variety. From February 28th, 2002. So Variety wrote, with today's official launch, the offering is now $7.79 for individual subscriptions to 3 episodic series he is creating, beginning with Dumbland, an animated series he originally began creating 2 years ago for AtomicShockwave.com. Next up is the bunny suit surreality of sitcom Rabbits, and later, a quote-unquote Twin Peaks-like drama, Axon N will roll out. Now, this never happened. I think this was going to be 7 episodes or 9 episodes. It was going to be a series. He was going to do these web series. And I think what he discovered was you put so much work into these series, and then they go up and people are done watching them in like 2 or 3 hours. So I don't know how many of those ideas fed into what we're going to see in Inland Empire, because right off the bat, we get that phonograph telling us Axon N, and we're going to see Axon N written throughout this place. Almost like it's very much like the signs that are guiding Dougie Cooper throughout the return. You have these signs that are guiding Nikki throughout, which is really cool. And the making of, like, literally you can watch, if you watch Lynch 1, them record the phonograph to get that sound. He's actually hand cranking it as they're playing it. It's very cool. But I don't have much more to talk about with that until we jump into the next scene.
I mean, it sets a perfect mood, as you said. That camera, the projector light coming through, and you get the kind of rim light around the outside of Inland Empire coming up and coming right onto that phonograph. But we do hear the announcer. Honestly, the first time I watched it, didn't quite catch the Axon N. So whenever I see that later, whenever Nikki Sue is in the alleyway and sees it written on the doorway, it didn't click for me. And then coming back and actually having the subtitles on really does help in a lot of these cases to be able to see that then. So that it's a lot of that, I think, throughout this is going to be like, oh, I didn't really catch this until my 4th time through. But even from literally like the first minute, I'm like, oh shit, I missed something from the very beginning. But anyway, no, this is it's a great way to enter into all of this, the mood.
Right. And it establishes already there's the longest running radio play. So it's a thing that's been going on forever. And it's going to be a film about storytelling in a way, or about characters, as we're going to say. But it's a very cool way to open it.
We continue on a gray winter day in an old hotel. A woman and a man get a room.
Yeah. So you jump right into this scene, which coming off of the phonograph is like, for me, all of this stuff I should preface by saying, for me. I should also say we're obviously spoiling the film Inland Empire.
Oh, if they didn't...
spoiling the things beyond the half hour as well.
Yeah.
I take it, and I'd be curious to know where you're going to land on it, that this is the story. They're literally telling us our story begins, in a Baltic region on a gray winter day in an hotel, and that's where we're going to go, to this old gray hotel. And you have this scene where the two characters are completely obfuscated. They're just blurred blocks.
Well, mostly just their faces are blurred.
In the hallway, it seems like most of the body. But anyway, they're obscured. You don't see them. Mm-hmm. You get this dialogue. Are they just two people having an affair, and he's just degrading her because that's part of whatever they do? Is it just the way she sees herself from having an affair? Because we're going to get a lot of stuff with prostitutes, and women, and the stuff with the Lost Girl. So is this really a scene of a prostitute and a John? Is it something more? It's also worth pointing out is like the actors in this have different voices than the people playing them. And in the way it's shot, it appears as if it's like the Lost Girl in this scene, but it isn't. But I think it is.
Right.
So to kind of talk that through, like, there's the woman number one, the body is, and I'm going to get all these names wrong. It's Dominia Grutska, but the voice is Dominique Burnett.
Okay.
And the guy is Paweł Kubasiak, and the voice is Marcin Brzezowski. But the way that the shot, and as we go into this next scene of her crying on the bed after they've made love, becomes the Lost Girl.
Right. The fact that we're starting in this black and white show this is in the past, and then we see later with the Lost Girl that it definitely is the same place, but in the past. And I love the fact that their faces are blurred out. To me, and I know this gets overused so much, especially with Lynch's work, but it feels so dreamlike. It feels very relatable to me of having a dream. I have this all the time. I have a dream where I'm looking at someone's face and I can't quite see their face, or their face changes and I don't quite get their identity. But to this, before we even know what's going to happen later in the story and how identities shift and people play different characters, or the same person may play different characters, playing with identity, we don't even get that at all here. We lose that ability to tell who is who. So I like that from the very beginning, the first images we really see of this, we're already not sure who anyone is, and that it's a hint for us that all of that is malleable through the rest of the story.
Right. It also feels like it's something you're not supposed to see. Like it's something being hidden visually, but it's also something hidden contextually in the story. If it is a prostitute and a guy going to a hotel, and it's something you don't want anyone to see, and it's being hidden that way. So it feels very voyeuristic watching this particular scene.
Yeah, especially because we don't see her face, but we see her body. We see her, before they have sex, we see her, unrobe, and so we get that intimacy, but we don't get to see her face.
So, I my whole idea of where I'll start going is like, well, I'll save that for the next scene.
Okay,
but no, I'll say it here. So, to me, this is like, let me just lay it all. Can I lay it all out?
I wish you would.
I think it'll help me to talk about it.
Yeah, so don't try cut yourself off. Just
let me set. I wanted to do this in the beginning because it's just going to be easier for me to talk about all of this stuff. So let's talk about what the 4 archetypes and who's playing them throughout this whole film. In for me, how I see things, right? So you have the Lost Girl. Right? So the Lost Girl, she's married to an abusive man. She has an affair with a married man, and she becomes trapped in a story. So she's played by Karolina Gruska in the film Wer Sieben. She's played by Laura Dern as Sue in the film On High and Blue Tomorrows. And she's played by Laura Dern as Nikki in Inland Empire. So these are these characters. So I think the Lost Girl, and potentially this is a scene from Wer Sieben, gets trapped in the story and then trapped in the hotel.
Oh.
So
you think that you're saying that possibly this black and white scene that we're seeing is Wer Sieben, the original, the one that didn't get finished, as opposed to it being the story upon which Wer Sieben was based.
Right.
Oh, interesting.
Right.
Okay.
Or it could be.
I just want to hear your ideas.
We're gonna go all the way down, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's the Lost Girl archetype. Then you've got the married man, right? He is married to the wife, in quotes, and has an affair with the Lost Girl. So he's played by Peter Lucas in Wer Sieben. He's played by Justin Theroux as Billy in On High and Blue Tomorrows, and he's played by Justin Theroux as Devon in Inland Empire. Then you have the wife. She is married to the married man. She is told about the affair. She's hypnotized by the Phantom, and she's sent to kill the Lost Girl. So she's played by Julia Ormond in Wer Sieben. She is played by Julia Ormond in On High and Blue Tomorrows. And she's played by a series of question marks in Inland Empire. I'm not sure. Maybe Julia Ormond, maybe not. We'll get to that later. But I have a bunch of question marks for that one. And then she gets killed. Like we'll get to that later.
Okay, that's fine.
But yeah, that's a thing that I struggle with is all the way later, or halfway through, you see what could be, Julia Armand going up the stairs with the screwdriver.
Yeah.
Or it could be the lost girl going up the stairs with the screwdriver. The person that's dead and has bleeding out at the top is Julia Armand. For me, like I think I can tell it's her. But if you look at the stairwell, like I did so many still shots, I'm like, that looks like the lost girl.
It's so silhouetted, and the DV does not make it easy to actually understand some of the, like, so I said when we were talking about episode 0, I couldn't tell some of the characters were repeating or not because it's just so hard to see, and maybe that's intentional. But
if you're listening to this, you can look at our Instagram. I posted a still from that and like bumped up the exposure so you could really see it. It could go either way. It's fine. The nose looks different. It changes the meaning in a lot of ways depending on who that person is, but we'll get to it. And literally, the Valley Girl is asking us, who is this woman? So it's like, it's a mystery. All right, so that's the wife, right? So we have the wife. Now let's talk about the husband. So he is married to the lost girl. He is abusive. He's played by Christoph Marchgek in Ferris-Sieben. He's played by Peter Lucas in On High and Blue Tomorrows, and he's played by Peter Lucas in Inland Empire. It's very interesting. You've got Peter Lucas playing the husband, like in those newer stories, but in the original story or the first story, he's actually the married man. So that's very interesting to think about how those things got switched. Now, the first husband is known as the Phantom, right? So that's really Christoph Marchek. And also Crimp. So if you're hanging out and some guy calls himself Crimp, don't look, it's the Phantom. He knows how to hypnotize people. He leads to the death of people inside the story. And he's responsible, in my opinion, for the curse that is trapping these lost girls inside. Right? So those are the 4 kind of types and who's playing them. Again, whatever it means to you. So with that in mind, that's why this scene, and that's why in this scene, like if you listen to the lines that are being said, like she says, John says, "Hey, what do whores do?" And she says, they have sex and all that stuff. But she also says, "Where am I? I'm afraid." And then later on, Laura Dern, when she's at the Street Woman,
mocks that.
First she says, "I'm a whore."
I'm a whore.
Connecting back to it. And then also, "Where am I? I'm afraid," which is one of the best scenes ever, cutting into the Black Tambourine.
Where am I? I'm afraid.
Amazing. But Laura Dern as the lost girl, this lost girl as they're sharing the same scenes. This is like one story that's told many times, and they both become trapped in that world.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of the lost girl and what she says there, "I don't know where I am, I'm afraid," but even just walking into the hallway before they get to the room, she says, "The stairway's dark, I don't recognize this hallway." She doesn't know where she is. She thought she had a key. "Is this my room? No, I have the key. You gave it to me." So she is completely disoriented or pulled out of where she was before and doesn't know how she got there.
She's acting the way Nikki starts to act in On High and Blue Tomorrows, where she thinks this sounds like the lines in our script. Like, to me, that's like her getting lost in that film. That's the original film, of which On High and Blue Tomorrows is the remake of that.
So what we don't have is, or maybe it is, maybe it's all in here, and I haven't connected the dots, is what happened immediately preceding this? How did she get into this place? Then for us seeing Laura Dern, we see her progression, and we see her start to, move between personalities and then completely break. For this woman, did the same thing happen to her? And if so, like, what was immediately preceding this? Presumably, is this the affair that led to the whole thing kicking off, or is this at the end of this and right before this is when she gets killed after this? Like, I don't know how to contextualize it.
I think this. Well, I think there's an old folk tale
preceding even the radio play.
Oh yeah, it's old. It's old as time, or whatever. However, whatever it is. And there's a guy that gets slighted, or he's cuckolded, or whatever. And then as they tell this story, like he injects himself into the story and curses the story. So when she took the role, just like Nikki took the role or whatever to make this, they talk about when we're going to learn later on tonight, they found something in the story that changed things.
Yes,
and also the two, like they don't realize there's no murder in this, but there's clearly a murder. So it's like, it doesn't matter necessarily how she got there.
Yeah.
Because it was like she's in that story, and once you're in that story, you're sort of. And imagine in her life, she probably had similar things where she was married. Maybe it's always the same beats that happen. But it's just another interesting note is the credits. So the end credits say in order of appearance, but these actors that are playing the obscured shapes people don't appear until way later. Like it's when she's doing the interview and you're seeing like the circus people, and before you see Billy Side's son, that's where they're listed. So at one point was this not the opening, and then they edited it and they moved it to the beginning, and they did not change the credits to match. Was it intentional? Like, it's just something to think about.
From here, the Lost Girl cries in her hotel room as white snow of the TV reveals the visitor and rabbits.
Yeah, like, and again, I talked about Karolina Gruszka is the actress, and also you move to color. So for me, this is the actress that was portraying that role trapped forever in this room. And even when they show the room and you look out the window, you can see film equipment. Like it's part of a production that she's trapped in. She's trapped in a set just like Nikki.
I didn't quite see it that way. I'm not saying it's wrong. So we go from the black and white, pan across the room, then we have the Lost Girl sitting on the bed, and it pans back again across the same kind of settee that was there, that the woman, the prostitute, was sitting on. In place of where the man was standing is instead the TV that she's watching, and out the window, it just, to me, it looked like a satellite, like TV satellite equipment. It just made it look to me that it is more modern times. Like, but it's interesting to see that it could be like recording equipment or part of like the production of the story is actually outside the window. But it just looked to me like a mess of like cables or something for the TV itself. But it does establish that we're in that same spot, and she's sitting there just wrapped in. Was she wrapped in like a red satin?
She's in like a robe or a red towel or sheet or something.
Well, to me, it looked like a sheet. Like she had been like kind of never got to leave that moment that she just had, and is now kind of watching that repeatedly on the TV. Although at this point we see the snow. But yeah, revealing the visitor and rabbits from here too. Jeez, incredible.
Yeah, and so we also should give props to Christabel as well. So you get that Polish poem songs, quite beautiful. Dan sees maybe it could be like a satellite dish or something out the window. There's a bunch of wires and stuff. My head went to the same types of stuff that Nikki's going to see when she's Sue inside Smitty's set that becomes a house. That's sort of the way that I'm looking at it.
Sure.
In the rabbit's home as well, like Jack comes home, right? So Jack Rabbit comes home and he speaks with Jane and Susie. We had talked about this before. This is Naomi Watts is Susie, Jane is Laura Herring, and Scott Coffey is Jack. And man, what a beautiful scene! Like when she's crying, and just such great shadows, and we listening to like the lines of the rabbits as she's watching this. And we'll talk about the rabbits and how they're connected to the story maybe in a little bit later. But the lines like,
when will you tell it?
When will you tell it? When will you tell them about me? That this affair, the way I'm reading their dialogue.
Who could have known?
The affair is discovered, is how I'm reading that.
What time is it?
And what time is it? That becomes a very important line in this, because before the married man that's having an affair with the lost girl is killed, the guy comes up to him and asks him what time it is.
I have a secret.
And then, of course, I have a secret, the affair, the murder, the abuse, take your pick.
There have been no calls today.
And there have been no calls today. We're going to get a call to this room, which is amazing. Now, the husband's name is Piotrek, which is Polish for Peter. You have Peter Rabbit. You've got Jack Rabbit. You're going to have Janek in a bit, which is like Jack. So yeah, Jack and Peter, two names for rabbits. And Jack here is both like the Jack here in the world of rabbits, I can kind of see as both the husband and the lover, which is how he's portrayed in the film as well, because the actor plays both those parts. And maybe that's why there's one male rabbit and two female rabbits. It's just Lost Girl and Laura Dern. I don't know. Jack arrives and leaves before we go to the ornate mansion. But talk to me about rabbits and the women who love them.
One thing we didn't note is the transition between the black and white to this color where we see the lost girl on the bed. It's actually a camera lens superimposed of everything as everything comes into focus, and it's like a flickering of projector light as it comes between the two scenes. So it just now we're viewing it through the lens or something. But it's calling back that first moment that we see of the projector light illuminating Inland Empire. But yeah. Man, I was just so surprised by the rabbits. I just, I watched this before we had our previous conversation about this, so I didn't know where this was going at all. But to have those rabbits there, and it is this very stilted, I guess from what you said from the Variety article, sitcom. Obviously, there is like I don't know if there is in this initial scene, but definitely later, the audience canned laughter that happens throughout.
Yeah, that's in it. Yeah. And it's for anyone interested that doesn't already know, like you can watch the full web series on davidlynch.com.
It's
great.
Really incredible.
It's like, I think it was originally 8 episodes, maybe, but then I don't know if you can watch all 8. And then they were cut and reordered. This particular scene I know takes place if you watch episode 1 on davidlynch.com. It's like you could see the same scene.
The first thing we get to see in this, when the Lost Girl's watching the TV and the snow resolves, we get the rabbits, but it's being played like in fast forward on a VCR. And then we also get visitor number 1 coming up the stairs that we get later. But it all comes in like a VCR being fast forwarded. So it's what an interesting choice to show little bits and pieces that we're gonna see. And it keeps cutting back and forth. Oh my God, she's so beautiful. And the look in her eyes, the lost girl, she's crying and watching this.
Oh, it's beautiful. And that's why I feel like she's outside of stories. And this is, again, why I kept talking about this for The Return, right? She's watching on a television.
Yeah.
The stories, she's outside of the stories. And she's seeing the story of Nikki. She saw her own story on the TV in a way. And now she's seeing rabbits, which is this other story about these entities that are maybe trying to help, maybe not trying to help, but I think they're trying to help. And then you've got, she's seeing the visitor visit Nikki that we're about to see in the future. And then at the end, it becomes so powerful because she sees that outside story is now reaching into her. She's been reaching out of a story, and then a story is reaching in, but we'll get to that later.
Well, and then the layer, like we just mentioned, of the camera lens superimposed on top of her, so she's still inside a story because it calls attention to the fact that we're watching a thing that is filmed. So there's so many layers on top of this. But then, we come in to see the rabbits. You have the I don't know if it's female rabbit 1 or 2 is in the background ironing in a pink robe.
Yeah, that's Susie, I believe. Naomi Watts.
As such, it is this strange but dingy apartment with the teal kind of the paint job, very sparse furniture. The sofa, the arms of the sofa just make me recall the chair in the red room, but I just like the ornate sort of Art Deco arms in the chair and the kind of red velvet stuffing, and that is great. But the way that everyone is, talks and moves and acts is so completely stilted and calls attention to itself. And like I said, you have the canned laughter of the audience on different lines. And those lines, like you mentioned, they have significance later. But this first moments that we're seeing this, not really knowing. You see a telephone in the foreground, but there's been no calls today. And what time is it? And all that. It's just I was just really blown away by seeing this the first time. And every time they came back, I really was looking forward to it. And then just kept getting darker and darker every time, too.
Yeah, it's worth watching, especially when you get like the red rabbit comes out and it's talking backwards. And people have taken rabbits and rearranged the dialogue where it kind of makes sense, which again, it hints at stuff that he'll do with Philip Jeffries and the two scenes. And they actually, you could, but there's stuff like that. If you go to the davidlynch.com and you watch I think it's on the first one or the second one, someone in the comments had like arranged or like, this is how I think this should play out. And it makes a lot more sense.
Oh, wow.
The responses and stuff, where the laugh tracks fit, there's a way of organizing it where there are jokes and,
Gotcha.
Jokes may be a stretch, but it makes more sense, like why there's a laugh track there. It's very cool.
From here, in an ornate mansion, Jack enters a darkened room, and when the lights come on, Janek and the Phantom discuss finding an opening.
Yeah, right. So then this part is amazing, right? So you're connecting these two. Well, actually, you're connecting a story. We don't even know what this story is yet, but they're connecting the two of them. So you're literally watching this rabbit come out into this really cool looking mansion and then become Janek, right? So this scene, he's kind of, and this happens twice. It's going to happen with the character Mr. K and Jack.
Wait.
Jack,
Janek. He became Janek? I thought, okay. Yeah. I thought it became the Phantom. I thought he was the one looking for a way out. I thought Jack Rabbit was the one. Because later he goes to the desk and then it becomes the kind of clerk-looking guy, I guess Mr. K, interviewing Sue. Okay.
Well, I mean, if you want to read it like that, you can.
Well, I mean,
I don't, because like he comes in and the way I see the rabbits are they're trying to kill and stop the Phantom. So from what I remember, right, he opens the door and the lights go down and then they come up and the first person you see is Janek.
Right. He comes in and there's a spotlight on him. And then when it fades out, he's gone as well. So yeah, I'm sure it doesn't, I'm not totally, I'll be saying this so many times, not disagreeing with you. Totally makes sense. I didn't get that when I first watched that. Totally could work.
Sure. No, but I mean, I'm not trying to dismiss your reading if it makes,
we're going to keep doing this.
If it makes sense to you. But for me, yeah, it's like,
no,
Janek ends in K, Jack ends in K, Mr. K, the, Kingsley is a director, has a big K on it. So it's like these Ks are directing the action, so to speak. But anyway, like the stuff that he's saying, to me, it's like Janek or Jack or these rabbits are kind of like the pantheon that we have in Twin Peaks where they're kind of maybe in charge. That's why like the Phantom is like saying, I want to weigh into this new story, whatever, to inject the poison or whatever. And that's why he's saying, this is what I want to do.
Okay. It absolutely makes more sense. Cause I'm thinking back now when we go to the clerk, because the rabbit comes and sits at that desk and then it changes and it's I keep calling it clerk. I'm not sure. Was it
Mr. K
or Mr. K is sitting there. But later then he goes to the phone and talks about how it's not going to be much longer now, which would be something that Jack Rabbit would say. So that, making that be Janek totally makes more sense to me than the way that I read it first. So okay. Wow, I have to rearrange my thoughts a lot on how this all works.
Yeah, so Janek is the actor playing as Janek is Jan Hench. I mentioned the Phantom is Christoph Marchek. We talked about Jack being Janek. For me, I think Dan's come around to that.
I makes more sense to me.
The dialogue, what does he say? You're looking for something, yes. You're looking to go in. To me, an opening. He's looking for an opening in the new story that's about to happen, so that he can just do the same thing and then grab Nikki and pull her in. So that's what I get out of this.
Yeah.
And then it goes back to Jack, right? And back to the dark is how we end this scene.
Yes. I like the Phantoms. The back and forth is they keep repeating lines, but Janek Phantom says, I'm looking for an opening. Do you understand? Janek, yes, I understand. Do you understand I'm looking for an opening? Yes, I understand completely. Good. It is good that you like the way that he gets so like crazed.
To dobrze. Rozumiesz.
When he's like, it's good that you understand. I'm not sure, like, what is he? who is Janek to the Phantom? Does the Phantom think that Janek is going to give him a way to get in? Because to me, also it reads like on a very surface level, the first thing it looked like to me is like, Russian mob boss or like Baltic State mob boss, like the big ornate gold room, and like he was the boss, and the Phantom was, not knowing that it was the Phantom at the first time you watch this as well, that this man was his underling or was asking a favor of him. But I don't know, like, how do you read the relationship between those two if this is the Phantom asking the rabbit, who might be part of this, people that are trying to help or hurt him.
Right. Well, I mean, it could very much be like Twin Peaks with entities inhabiting hosts, because we see Jack inhabit many different bodies. Mr. K, Janek here, later on the old Polish men when we're in that cool scene where they all sit and they become the three rabbits.
Right.
So is that as henchmen normally, and now he's been possessed temporarily and he's involved and then it's going to go back to it, or is he always Jack? Who knows? The relationship, I see the rabbits as being entities like the giant and those things. That are kind of above the universe, that are trying to make things right. He is kind of like a Bob figure, this Phantom.
Sure.
That's manipulating it. There are rules. You can't just, it's a very much like Twin Peaks in that manner.
Very much also like the, room above the convenience store. We have this set that the rabbits are on, and the laugh track almost is like a Greek chorus in a way of just kind of reacting to the things that they're saying.
Yeah. And then you literally almost get a Greek chorus in The Way of the Valley Girls.
Yeah. That is a very, I can't. When we get to that. Great. It's day in a well-to-do neighborhood. Nikki Grace receives a visitor.
Yeah, so we get Grace Zabriskie. Her new neighbor's coming. She's been going around meeting neighbors, to say hello.
I think that it is important to know one's neighbors, to say hello to them.
What a scene. And of course, you've just seen this on the TV, and now you're seeing it in real life. And who can walk down a neighborhood looking like Grace Zabriskie? Like, that is they can't teach that at acting school. It's the camera distortion, I guess, but also her smiles and the way that she almost feels like she's blowing backwards. Like, it's just fantastic. And we hear she's full of mystery, right? So it's like this Polish folk tale mythology that's being built. Like, she lives down the way, tucked back in the small woods. Just calling it small woods is such a great phrase in the brick house, that it's difficult to see the road. Already obscure. We're seeing obscured imagery. Now we're hearing about obscured imagery. It's great.
When she mentions that too, and Nikki says, "Oh, I think I know the one," and then she says, "It's hard to see from the road," and Nikki nods and says, "Yes." Like, it feels to me like, no, Nikki has no idea who this woman is or where she's from. She's just already, we're just getting like playing along. Like, I don't know what's going on actually, but sure.
And that's what it is, right? Like, she's playing along.
Yes.
Because she's constantly playing roles. You and I are constantly playing roles. The person talking in this mic is not necessarily the same person that is going to meet a neighbor in my neighborhood, or, go into the post office, or talk to the spouse of, someone that I hardly work with, or, you know what I mean? So they're constantly playing. We all do. Like, the role she plays with the visitor is so much different than the way she acts with the director and the other actors compared to the way she acts on the talk show. So it's so great, like, about, certainly in the business, about how you are on those situations, but also just as like an examination of how we are as people and all the different people we play. It like comes, it just going to hit you right in the head right off the bat with this scene. They have some coffee, so you got to have some coffee in this film.
Before we even go any further, like before we even get to the front door, there's just so much here. We start like it's nighttime looking up through the boughs of a tree, and we keep that same shot and it turns to daytime. So I just like this transition that we go from this darkness from the previous scene into the light, and it's so bright. It almost looks like a sitcom, or like, the idealized version of a wealthy area in suburbia or something like that. So the contrast is, I think, really important there. But then we do, because to this point, other than kind of coming up the black and white, coming up the hallway with them, the camera shots have been pretty static throughout. Watching the rabbits is a single point of view, like a sitcom point of view. Watching the conversation with Janek and the Phantom, same thing. Here we really get this, what we're going to get throughout the rest of this film, the camera moving along with the visitor. And it's bouncing along with her, and she's almost bouncing along. She really feels in my notes, I said she looks befuddled, confused, maybe excited, almost like tipsy in a way. And her Grace Zabriskie, man, the way that her smile moves across her lips, it's there and it's not there, and it comes back and it's not real, but it's God, she's so subtle in the way that she just uses her expressions.
And there's so much that she's threatening as well. Like there's like an uneasiness, not in a good way, with a visit from the visitor. And it's also neat to see, like, you see all this wealth, like it's this very fancy, wealthy house.
Yes.
And then when we get into the film, Sue, it's like poverty. They're cutting money. They don't have enough money. They're cutting his beer.
Yeah.
He's not getting the beer that he likes.
Yeah.
And then you start to wonder, like, which is could this be the fantasy of Sue? And Sue is the actual real person that's imagining this life, or is it the other way around, where Nikki is getting a script about Sue? Or is Sue imagining Nikki, and like all of those things that come out of it? But
from what the visitor says later, I think there's kind of an idea there, but we'll come to that in a second. Because I haven't even got the way that she comes up to the stairs and she purses her lips and looks around. It's almost as though she's judging everything slightly. But she goes up to the door and sees the doorbell and rings it, and then just kind of walks in. It's like a foyer, like gate before the door, but just opens it and starts coming right in before we get the butler opening the door.
Yeah, it looks like a castle.
God, yeah. So it's like almost like this place is protected. It's got these layers of protection. It's got the steel door in front of it. The butler to answer the door, so Nikki, God forbid, doesn't have to go answer the door herself. It's just anyway. Finally, get into the house now. But there's so much there.
Right. You start talking about roles, right?
Yeah.
Role that you're playing. I heard that you had it. And she asks if it's about marriage.
Is it about marriage?
Perhaps in some ways, but...
Your husband, he's involved?
Which, considering the film itself is about marriage and infidelity, and both Sue and Billy are married, and then she's asking if her husband's involved, and you listen to the threatening nature of her husband in this reality about the importance of marriage.
The bonds of marriage are real bonds. The vows we take, we honor and enforce them for ourselves, by ourselves, or, if necessary, they're enforced for us.
And yet she's reading this script about infidelity and saying, in some ways it's about, like, right off the bat, you could see that the marriage is not as important to her as it is going to be to him when he threatens Devin's character, which is awesome. And which, of course, also her saying she's asked if her husband is involved, which of course he is, because you keep hearing who is playing Smitty. And it's the same actor who is playing Smitty that is playing her husband in the real world. Not to mention, like, as I said, the film's about infidelity. And it also comes to reflect her real life infidelity that's going to happen. It's so cool.
And also, like, the husband in this version of the story, Nikki's husband, we hear later from, like, Devin's manager or agent, one of the guys, like, you don't want to mess with her because this guy's got a lot of power. So, like, he almost seems, I don't know if he's like a Hollywood power player or something, but he's definitely, like, involved in the industry or something.
I took it more like the mob thing. The same way.
Maybe it was a mob thing. Okay.
Right. Sure. It's like the Phantom.
Same thing.
In that it like you're going to get your legs broken.
Sure.
Kind of thing. Like, you do not want to do this. Not like you're not going to work in Hollywood again, but like, he's a bad dude.
Yeah.
And literally, we see a scene where he takes him. That's a great, intimidating scene when he takes him upstairs.
Oh, well, yes, we'll get to with Devin later. Yeah.
Right. But like, like this is a marriage. Marriage is a contract, or it's a bond, and all of that stuff.
I don't give her that freedom, or don't give her that. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. And then you just contrast this with it's about marriage in some ways. You know, it is. And it's and also the fact that the murders and stuff. All right, so as we do in the middle of the show, it's time to reach out and say hi to our friends, the Black Lodge supporters, and thank them for all they do. Dan, why don't you start us off?
We got our longtime supporters here. We got Chuck Suffel, we got Gregory Flanagan, Don Adamo, Banjo Track, Eric Knopp, Charlie Tapper, Ivan, Jake Gigello, Matthew Fuller, Raga Raven, David Melito, Daryl Deason, Dana Gould, Art Hill, Jeff, Henrik E., Concluding Remarks, Brian Johnson, Evan Fitz, Hazel Haywood, Bill Schaefer. Eric, take it away.
Oh, sure. Jordan Carver. Hi. Matt W., Nick Webb, Kaylin Best Lawrence, he who is Clem Fandango, a.k.a. Luke P., we got Eva, we got Neil McKenzie, we got Ben Chisholm, we got David Titterington, we got Ethan Barry, Fifi, Ramon, May Surkoff, Wordy Ginters, Chris H., Patrick Weiss, Skeksis, Matthew Walker, Dustin Weaver, Andy Levy, and Joseph Allen. Thank you to each and every one of you. A hat tip, a tip of the hat. Put your screwdrivers away. Nobody's getting stabbed tonight. And thank you to all the people that back us at the other levels. And I hope you're enjoying Inland Empire. So let's get right back to it.
We mentioned this previously in episode 0, but talking about the use of the camera here. This is where we first get these insane close-ups where it feels like the camera is just inches from Grace Zabrisky's nose. As she's looking around and the butler brings in the coffee. Actually, butler brings in the coffee and the camera is like right on the coffee cups. It's like David Lynch must be just crouched because I think he operated the camera for a lot of this, crouching right next to it, get close up of the coffee, and then it's right on her face. But when you come back to, the reverse shot to Nikki talking to her, it's not like that until things start going off the rails, and then the camera's right on her nose again.
It's like a wide angle attachment that they were using.
It's really incredible because it brings you right there, and every slight movement of the camera translates to a huge movement on the screen. It feels very uncomfortable. So it's just a great use of technique to make me feel completely imbalanced and unsettled. And I know you already said this, but I really like the dialogue is so specific when the visitor says, "So you have a new role to play, I hear." Not like you're up for a new part in a movie, you're not, but you have a new role to play. It's just a very specific thing. And Nikki doesn't take it, I'm up for a new role, but I'm afraid I'm far from getting it. No, you definitely have it. Like you're in it now. I think it's great. First time through it, didn't quite get that. Seeing it the second time through, it's like, oh geez, she's really just, there's almost like a blinking light right on that line whenever it starts.
Yeah, and you get a bunch of senses of like, there's no time with the visitor lady. Obviously, there's all the stuff about, what is it? If today was tomorrow, you wouldn't remember that you owed on an unpaid bill.
If today was tomorrow, you wouldn't even remember that you owed on an unpaid bill.
Like establishing their actions and consequences. We're going to hear a lot about that unpaid bill, which to me is all about like that original story with this cuckolded guy, and you've cheated on him, and now you got to pay this dumb price.
I suppose if it was 9:45, I think it was after midnight. Oh, so great.
Right, and that becomes so freaking important later. I mean, how many times did we see like the 9:45 is the time that he says right before the married man that's having an affair with the lost girl is killed in the original story, right? And then after midnight, you hear that line so many times. I guess I'll just wait so we have something exciting to talk about when that comes up again. It comes up again twice. It's very, very cool.
But we're setting up now from the very beginning all these pieces that are going to recur in different ways in different contexts over and over again. So we should definitely point them out as we go through.
Sure. Yeah. The story of the little boy, right? So you've got, we talked about this last time. Little boy went out to play. When he opened his door, he saw the world. As he passed through the doorway, he caused a reflection. Evil was born and followed the boy. And she says it's old tale. And then the variation is amazing. A little girl went out to play, lost in the marketplace, as if half born. And we get that half line comes out many times. And also the marketplace, she starts talking about the alleyway, which is a scene we're going to see later, and how this is the way to the palace. Now, for me, the line palace is the movie theater that we get to at the very end. That's the eventually follow these signs for Axon N, and you eventually will lead there. I took that for for the palace.
No, total. I think that's absolutely right. But I will also say, like, because of the way we talked in The Return about half sisters, this as if half born. You asked, Sue, is Nikki a fantasy of Sue, or is this like the two of them are split, and these are like Nikki is living seemingly a perfect life. She's in this mansion, this palace. She's living this fantasy life, though behind it is this darkness. Her husband peering down the stairs at her, like
total weirdo,
totally creepy.
She's in the opposite, really, of a perfect life because her career is also in ruin. Like they say this thing, like this is the movie that's going to put you back on top.
But then you have Sue, who lives in absolute poverty. She's in an abusive relationship. But you also, from the monologues that we'll get to later, she's also an incredibly strong character, like self-possessed, can take care of herself, has been through a lot. So not to say like this is the perfectly pure version and this is the perfectly horrible version. It's just that they are the yin and yang of each other. So I really think this half-born is really interesting here.
So, oh my God. She asked about whether there's a murder in this film.
Brutal fucking murder.
The line delivery on that will set your clocks, set all your clocks to 9:45. Of course, this story has a murder, like, and she can't remember what day it is too. And again, it's establishing all this really cool stuff that like time is going to be changing on us. We're already setting up all these rules that all these things are kind of important. We're going to return to them, and we don't know what's going to happen, and there's going to be actions and consequences, and also, we have the crime, right, with the screwdriver, I guess. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But let me ask you, like, the crime that she has to pay for, the infidelity, cheating on her husband, or the murder of stabbing the wife with the screwdriver.
Oh God, I thought it was the infidelity, but now that you say that, I don't. No,
because that's the way I kind of read. Like, I almost feel like in the first story, it is, the Phantom hypnotizes the wife, to kill the lost girl.
Right.
She goes up the stairs, and in this case, I want it to be the wife, even though I feel like it looks just like the lost girl. But I want it to be the wife that goes up there, and she goes to kill her, but instead, she kills her. She kills the wife, and she leaves her dead. And then she goes outside and she gets caught by the Phantom. But then in this story, in how she overcomes the thing, is she does it. She's the one that gets stabbed and dies in the street, and that's why the movie ends when the movie ends. Instead of her killing the wife, she gets the screwdriver. That's my reading of it.
Oh, that's so interesting because that's so okay. Maybe that does make sense. I'm trying to think through because when we first see the wife in the police station. Coming up shortly, she has the screwdriver in her side, but then she is the one who kills her later.
So she comes in and she said she's getting interviewed, and she's like, "I feel like I got hypnotized. I got to kill somebody, whatever." And then she reveals she was the one that got killed.
The one was stabbed, right?
Because she goes up the stairs, and then when you see someone on the ground, it's her. She's the one that's been stabbed.
Right. But I'm talking at the end whenever she stabs Sue.
Right.
So
that's where, to me, it's like Sue giving her life up.
God, I only need to watch this about 10 more times. But what I need to pay more attention next time through of at the top of the stairs whenever that murder happens. Because like I said, very hard for me to put the faces together of who is who there. Leaving aside, you can't see who's coming up the stairs. So, okay, maybe it's all the above. Maybe it's a mix of these things.
So you think it was someone else dead at the top of the stairs, not the married woman?
I honestly couldn't quite tell. Like, I just didn't. The faces didn't. The actors didn't really line up for me. So the next time through, it's going to make more sense. So next time we have a conversation, it's going to be much more clear to me. Yeah. Okay. One other thing too that. In this dense part of the visitor talking to Nikki, and we're really at like 12 minutes into the story so far, she says, forgetfulness, it happens to us all. And me, I'm the worst one of all. Oh, where was I? Before she says, is there a murder in your film? So she's coming in and asking Nikki, but really telling her what's going on. You are taking a new role. There is a murder.
Yeah.
These are the things that are happening. Does she have, in your mind, does she have a connection to the rabbits or some of these whatever beings that are either controlling or taking action in the overall story of the curse?
She literally could be, and this is me.
Yeah.
She could be one of the female rabbits, and
Yeah.
Mary Steenburgen is the other one. But I don't know, because like it's hard to gauge Grace, Visitor 1.
Yeah.
If she's a force of good, whereas I feel like Jack seems to be trying to get the gun in the right hand so that we can kill the Phantom.
Yeah.
But she's kind of like, she's got a little Miss Tremont energy. And maybe it's just,
well,
you know, I would say yes. If you had to ask me, I would say yes, she's Naomi Watts, and the other one's...
Well, you get Visitor 1 and Visitor 2. You get Visitor 1, Visitor 2, Female Rabbit 1, Female Rabbit 2. But speaking of like Mrs. Tremont energy, which is a great way to say it, but like not to draw too many parallels to Twin Peaks, but we talked about this before, the lodge entities may or may not be good. They have their own motivations. They have their own morality that might not be her own. So she's just doing what she needs to do, or she's just playing havoc because she wants to, and we can't really know that.
Yeah, I don't know. I want to pretend that it's the rabbit, because that was what I
think it makes sense.
think. But yeah, she's what was the other? Was there two parts to the question?
Well, the other was just the other line that she says, that you owe an unpaid bill, and that's what Visitor 2 is there to talk about, the unpaid bill as well. So like there really is that strong, that really strong connection of them being together, and also the rabbits.
But that's the part that is like, is the unpaid bill that she cheated on her husband, and not that she cheated on this abusive husband, but that she just, hurt this other woman, because the other woman, like, she didn't do anything wrong. She can't have children in the original story.
Mm.
It was that the unpaid bill that she had to make up for having killed her, whether it was in self-defense or not. I don't know. We'll get to that. But man, and then goddamn, unless you have anything else on this scene,
keep going,
to go off on, if it was tomorrow, you would be sitting over there.
Yes.
And then we get to see her almost see herself. And then we're in the future. We're in the future.
And that's when the camera comes really close to Nikki's face, because that's like, uh-oh. And the look in her eyes, just Nikki throughout this entire thing, other than when she's like playing the hostess when the visitor first comes in, she just has this confused look on her face the entire time, and it just gets more and more confused, and it's like, yes, that's me the whole way through. But yeah, that reverse shot, and there she is sitting on the sofa and seeing herself, is crazy.
I will say the Criterion edition, which I've been watching this, it looks beautiful. I love it. I think I mentioned it last time. People complain and says that there's like weird things with eyes. I think it looks great.
I don't know if I have the iTunes version, which looks really good if you download it. The quality is great. But I don't know if that's the Criterion version or not.
I have the iTunes version as well. I own the DVD, the iTunes version, and the Criterion version. Whenever I watch it on the iTunes, it always looks terrible, but maybe I'm not downloading it.
Yeah, if you download it, it downloads at a higher bit rate, I think. So it just seems to be better. The next day, Nikki gets good news from her agent. She's gotten the part, or she gets to play the role.
Yeah, and one of her friends here, Lena, is played by Belina Logan. I talked about her last time, but yeah, she's from the Great Northern. We love her.
Fantastic.
And her other friend, Tracy, is played by Amanda Foreman. This is when you mentioned the husband creeping down. This is when the husband's creeping down. Like, possessive, doesn't probably want her doing roles, is like the suspicions about other actors and stuff like that.
Does not come down to congratulate her on that. Just instead watches and leers. This is the first time we see him, right? This is the first.
Yeah, first time we see him.
Which is great. Perfect. This how else would you introduce him?
Pietrick Kroll, played by Peter Lucas.
Yeah.
And this is fine. This is a very funny scene if you want to watch the behind the scenes of David Lynch telling them how to jump up and down and be excited about getting this part.
And you just hold it like this.
Okay.
And you guys just get up and you stand right next to her. Like this. And I got it.
I got it.
Yeah, and then start bouncing up and down. Yeah, okay. Pals around and kissing. Yeah, okay.
Are the behind the scenes on the DVD?
Yeah, there's Lynch 1 and Lynch 2. And I think it's on Lynch 2.
Yeah, I gotta go look for it.
Or listen to the podcast, because I'll be dropping it in.
One thing that I think is great. So yes, the the way that Nikki is answering the phone, and it's like, oh my God, like it sounds like it's bad news, but it's actually good news. But is it actually good news? Maybe it is bad news. But the way that she responds to it, and then her friends all jumping up for joy. But then Henry the butler gets excited and he pumps his fist in the air and has one leg raised. It is the cutest, funniest thing. So they're all happy for her. But then you see Piotrek leering at them over the stairs. Oh, it's creepy and awesome.
And I mentioned it last time. Henry the butler, just to give him another Twin Peaks shout out. He was the insurance guy.
Yeah, that's great. Great sound drop on that one too. All right, we're in Hollywood now on stage 32. Kingsley Stewart, the director of On High Blue Tomorrows, welcomes Nikki, his cast and crew, to his new film. Yeah, we get to meet Devin. So Justin Theroux. We get an idea again. I talked about this before, that Nikki is no longer on top. Yeah.
You have everything you need to soar back to the top and stay perched there.
He talks about this being a star maker, which is really interesting when we consider when she gets killed, or, in quotes, right on top of a star.
Oh,
like they're literally on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and this is a star maker. One of the producers here is Neil Dixon, who played Bill and Phyllis Hastings' lawyer, George, in The Return. So he played George.
So we do say from Kingsley's speech here that you have everything to soar back to the top and stay perched there, which is great. He says the script as well, we're going to plunge into it, which I think is really great. I mean, it is just like naturally we're going to plunge into the script, but like they're literally going to go inside the story. And if we all play our role and do our best, if we all work hard together, this could be the one, which I think is really interesting too. I don't know if I'm on the same wavelength as you are, but like this repeating story, we see multiple versions of it. It just merely makes me think of Twin Peaks and The Return and trying to break the cycle. It is all happening again, but like, is this the one time we'll actually break out of the story, or that everything will get resolved? So I think just the layers of meaning just in this one little speech about this is great. And Devin is also just like kind of a dick to the director as well, but like a charming kind of cad way. So it's really great to see the two of them like that.
Yeah, he acts pretty much right in that wheelhouse of like completely terrible person. Like,
yes,
you know that the character of Devin is a terrible person, and the womanizing and all the stuff that we're going to get after the talk show appearance. But it's also extremely like corny.
Yeah,
and I mean that in a good way. In the way like even the director is like saying, "And we've got a good director." Like it's all very fantasy. Like it's very Mulholland Drive.
It is
the Betty storyline stuff.
It is playing parts. It is not being authentic. It is like, all right, guys, we're gonna. Yeah, it's over the top, and it's terrific.
Right. And again, it's how we act, all the characters we play in all these different parts of our life.
From here, Nikki and Devin make a promotional appearance on the Marilyn Levin show. Marilyn tries to get them to admit a potential love connection between the two.
Mamas, lock up your daughter's doors. Nikki, really? This news, this shocking revelation by Devin must send a shiver.
The great Diane Ladd knocking it out of the park as always. And William H. Macy, talked about him like he's in this for, 10 minutes or whatever, or less than that, just to do the announcer voice, where stars make dreams and dreams make stars. And I talked about this, again, the ending of the thing and the fact that they're on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. In Dreams and Stars and stuff. It's great. She is amazing in this. I love how this thing is shot. I love how it feels. I love their performances. Justin Theroux's performance. I love Laura Dern's performance. It's just so fake and phony, and like just the worst parts of Hollywood, and trying to get them to admit this thing, and it's
totally
no notes.
Everything for the camera too. So before the camera comes on and Marilyn's getting her makeup done, she's like, just something like, "Don't pull my hair, I know where you live," and she's just like horrible.
Yeah.
Marsha, honey, I know where you live. Don't pull my hair.
But then she comes on. Honestly, the whole thing with Marilyn and the interview, very Terry Gilliam to me. He does a lot of really good satire of TV. I'm thinking of Time Bandits, when there's just like a whole bunch of stuff like game shows that they're watching on TV. It all feels very nodding and winking at the same time. And the way that Marilyn is just waiting when Nikki's like annoyed and she says, it's going to stay professional, our relationship. And Marilyn's just like, It just keeps going forever. It's so awful. It's so great and phony. I really, really love it.
Did you ever see Death Race 2000?
Oh, no. I know what it is. Actually, I think you've asked me you've showed me clips before, actually, from a long time ago. No, I haven't. That's it.
But there's a reporter that acts very much like Marilyn Levins.
This is Grace Pander on the spot, as usual, to welcome the greatest racer of all time and a very dear friend of mine.
Is it enough to drop a clip, or will I edit it all out? Nobody knows, but it's
it definitely cut from the same cloth. But I love the name of the show is also just ridiculous. The Marilyn Levins Starlight Celebrity Show. It's no show would ever be named that. And it's just terrific. So as they're leaving, like Devin, I will move to the next scene, but Devin like saying to his manager or agent or whoever when he's walking down the hallways, like, this is a hit. Like, people like this show. It's like, yeah, this is ridiculous. Why would anyone love it? It is just the best satire of those types of shows.
It's amazing too, because it's like you have this Hollywood machine and you have these guys that are trying to act like super cool. But then they still go on these terrible fucking shows and they're still trying to look cool, but at the same time they're on the Marilyn Levins show. They just come across as phony.
And it is part of their job. They have to do it. Like, they're literally under contract to do these things as well. Like, they just have to. This is part of the job. It's awful.
I love his line where he's like, if you're looking for something, where she's trying to get them to admit the affair. And he's like, if you're looking for something shocking.
If you're looking for shock value, Marilyn, I suggest you look in the mirror.
Which, of course, I can't help but think of Diane Ladd covered in red lipstick in Wild at Heart. Because it's one of my favorite parts ever. But, yeah, it's great. Great little thing.
Right. Well, behind the scenes of the talk show, Nikki and Devin talk with their teams about what just happened.
Pierre Tremont has grown up and thinks that she's got a nice ass.
You gotta admit, though,
she seemed like a very nice girl.
That's amazing.
Yeah, you get a little younger Lynch making an appearance, as well as this is where you also get Jerry Stahl in this scene as well. This is a great scene that reminds me of like Grease. Like, you have like the boys talking about the girl, and you have a scene with all the girls kind of talking about, although they're mostly talking about the role, not so much. I don't think they're talking about Devin too much. But it's a good contrast between the two.
They were pumping her up. Like, did she do a good job? Was it a good appearance? Like, no, you were great. You were beautiful, like, about looks and everything. For Devin, it's like, you got to keep it in your pants. You know, we know how you are. And he's like, she's not even my type, or whatever he's saying. That it's just absolutely crazy.
Right. But then laughs and smiles, but you got to admit, she's got a great ass, which, you know, and there's so much of that, like these roles that we have, like women and sex. And when you have the scene of the Valley Girls and tits and ass and about attracting and feeling like a whore because you're doing all these things. And then men that are just doing whatever the fuck they want and like having sex with whoever they want, but there's really no ramifications for that, except for the first married guy. He gets murdered, but yeah.
All right.
But that's it. The only thing is Pierre Tremont. I just like, it's always...
No, it's great. I had no idea until you said that in the previous episode. Okay. Now Nikki arrives later that night back at her home and says goodbye to her friend. No, Nikki getting dropped off. All of her friends are still kind of like, you did great, like cheering her on or whatever. But as soon as they pull away in the car, she's just left in the darkness out front of her home. And the camera does this thing it does several times throughout. Definitely feels like it's going in slow motion. Again, kind of like a dream feeling, like dread. Like, you know, when you're in a dream, you can't quite move, you can't run or something. But she's moving up to the front door of the house. It's like, you just... in that 3 seconds, I guess, get that feeling of foreboding. She was just surrounded by everyone telling her how great she is, and now she's in the dark back at home where she should be safe and is absolutely not.
Yeah, 100%. That's
it's beautiful.
Great way to put it. Yeah, it's like there's no joy in this
Not
house.
At all.
It's dark and sad.
On stage 4, the cast meet for a table read. They're interrupted by a presence on the unfinished set.
I would even say maybe a phantom presence.
Oh, would you? Okay.
So we see, a couple of like dumb things. You can see the date on the script, April 6, 2005. It's written by a Lawrence Ashton.
Yeah.
Don't know what that is. I don't have anything. If you know what Lawrence Ashton is in reference to, leave it in the comments. Again, more acting, more being a different person here than we were on the talk show, than we even were in that first meeting when people are starting to relax and you get a little bit more of them. Like you get that really corny I'm full of beans line from freaking Devin.
It's all in the beans. And I'm just full of beans.
The flirting, the corny jokes. And then the part that's really interesting that jumps out at you is like, of course, Nikki remarking like if that's the set, and Devin's like, yeah, but it's not finished yet. And then when she hears it's Smitty's house, you can see it really resonate with Nikki, and she hangs on the mystery for a bit.
Oh, is that our set?
Yeah? It's not finished yet. There's Smithy's house.
Smithy's house.
She doesn't remember, yet she has this unpaid bill. We were told that she wouldn't remember it, but it's the connection to that world is already, and it's great because it's she doesn't remember. So it's an unfinished set. That's just, God damn it. That's amazing. And we see that, again, there's some form there in the shadows. And by the end, of course, we see a scene very much like The Return, that the way The Return connects to Fire Walk With Me, with Cooper being there and being the thing that Laura sees, from that scene in Fire Walk With Me. It's kind of this scene here in Inland Empire where we're seeing something off screen. We don't know what it is. And at the end, we're going to loop back and bring a character around. There's a number 10 in all those sets. Don't know if that's anything. Love the delivery. Freaking Harry Dean Stanton all day long.
God, he's so wonderful.
There's a very funny behind the scenes. You can watch Lynch and Harry Dean Stanton talk about how to do this scene.
And it's your first line.
For what, this speech?
Oh, no, coming in. When you come in, he says, Freddie and I just had a tea at the commissary. And then you say this.
The dreadful?
Yeah. Just say.
Oh yeah, that's already in the script.
But it's just dreadful. Actually, you could do the big dreadful if you want.
Yeah.
You can and which is
dreadful.
Dreadful. In the British thing.
Dreadful.
Yeah. And it just stops you.
Dreadful.
There you go.
Dreadful.
And as you start walking. Actually, dreadful doesn't adequately describe it.
Actually, dreadful is an understatement.
I just want to sing the praises of Harry Dean Stanton. From the first minute we see him, we have Kingsley coming in. Jeremy Irons is just a movie star. He just absolutely steals focus. No matter where he is, but coming in as this director who is supremely confident. You get a feeling like he is some very much A-list, top-tier director coming in, just from his swagger. And then Harry Dean Stanton is just almost like droopy dog, hangdog face. And we get more of that later with the whole, like, I got this landlord stuff that happens.
He scams several people out of money.
But you just get that from the first moment he walks in, and Jesus, I love him. That's all. We can move on.
Yeah, he's great. So we're doing scene 35.
Yes.
And we mentioned that we're doing 35 because we're outside of where Smitty's house is going to be, but it's not built. They mentioned the love scene, which we'll see later, but in the moment we see it later, we're not sure if it's outside of the movie or inside of the movie. But I love that they mention that. And we start seeing like the stuff that they're talking about here, like where Devin arrives to see Sue in the window.
Yeah.
And then later, Nikki sees Devin in the window and he can't see her. And like, that is amazing. It's like literally we're talking about a scene where him outside seeing her in the window, and then we see that later.
Well, it keeps going because Kingsley says that we're going to do an early scene that describes the characters. So we're going to get to know them. We're very early in this as well. And that kind of sets up the relationship. But if you notice, whenever they say they're going to do start at scene 35 and they pick up their scripts, Sue puts on her glasses. She's putting on sunglasses to read it. She's like actually makes it harder for herself to actually see the script. She's wearing sunglasses when she goes to read the script. I think it's great. She's like almost blinding herself to this. Double check me on that, but I've seen it.
I believe you. I did. I don't remember her putting on sunglasses, but I believe you.
Yeah, it's only in one moment because it's they pick up the script, cut back to Kingsley. She's looking at the script. She has sunglasses on, cuts back to Kingsley. Then her sunglasses are off. It's just a weird choice to have that there. Maybe they're prescription sunglasses. Who knows? But I like that she's putting on something that's harder to see And because she doesn't know what's coming, she doesn't really understand all of this. So she's almost obscuring the vision. Also, when they're the two of them are in there waiting for Kingsley and Freddie to come in, and they're looking at the set. Just Sue looking at the unfinished set, the look of fear that's on her face. But before that, when she's kind of joking around with Devin, she's very much playing the actress on set, like good vibes, let's have a good thing. But just she gets these moments of confusion and almost like panic in her eyes.
Yeah, as soon as she hears it's Smitty's house.
But then just evaporate again. Yeah, but then they're gone. It's just like she's almost getting glimpses of what's coming, but doesn't quite. She's so forgetful. It happens to us all. Yeah, anyway. That's
I
great.
like Devin's flirty line about expecting an Academy Award winning performance.
I am expecting from you an Academy Award performance right out of the gate, so.
Thanks, Devin. Get going, please.
I rather enjoyed that. They're on page 57, if you're counting. Devin also seems to be doing, almost at first, it sounds like an Australian accent in the beginning.
I didn't think you'd be here.
So we know it's Southern because we're going to see additional scenes, but just the first way that he reads it.
I did notice that. That's great.
It's like hard to tell, like, and I don't know if it's on purpose, the type of actor that he would be. And the scene is also, he's apologizing for what he said last night. So we're like, oh, did he confess his love for her? Or was it when they kissed? We know that there's a love scene that we see later is an apology for that. She says also, look in the other room.
Yes.
As if she did something.
Yes.
And then we're going to get several shots in Smitty's room of like looking around that corner and looking in the room. And at this moment, this is like when they're doing that scene when Freddie sees someone is there.
Right.
So like for me, when she says like, you should see what did I say that she said?
She said, oh shit,
look in the other room.
Mm-hmm.
Like as if this is when she's getting too close, and that's when all of a sudden it's like she can't handle like the thing, and the situation's breaking down. It's like we're getting a little too close to a memory, that unpaid bill.
Yeah,
and that's why we see her in the background, and it's Smitty's house where this crime took place supposedly.
Yep.
Great push in on the table too. That like when you see that, you hear the sound and you see them all standing there, and we just kind of zoom in or push in on the table.
Yeah.
Beautiful work.
It's great. I mean, that's why it's so, that mix of those beautiful like tracking shots or dolly shot like that, and these still really static scenes, and then the really shaky camera or the really tight close up, just using them to give both of those different types of feelings. And this is great. So we get, Devin running through the set in the back, trying to figure out. You hear the footsteps. Definitely sounds like high heels shoes or something running in the background.
Because she's also crying. She cries, like she has a tear come down her face, right? And in the lines, he says, "Are you crying?" This is in the script.
Yeah.
And she says she isn't.
It's that moment of like, that moment where the worlds or that memory, she's getting too close to it. That's when the tear comes down. Oh shit, look in the other room. What did I do? And then when you have the reverse shot of Devin going out into the darkness, there's more tears coming down her face. But it starts at that moment of, like you noted, these kind of stories are colliding in a way.
But yeah, this is also, Devin has that great line, like, acting like what's going on. They disappeared where it's real hard to disappear.
Yeah.
Which, of course, to disappear into a story is almost impossible. Obviously, he's talking about being in a set of a house. It's not a real house. There's nowhere to go. You open the door, there's nowhere to leave, and yet this person is gone. But also thematically and metaphorically, like to disappear where it's real hard to disappear. And also, I wonder if this is a story about suicide, because Sue, his last name is Side. Sue Side, literally, if they were to be wed, would be the name.
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't know. That's just something that sticks out at me when we think about depression and losing yourself. So
100% right. That's great. Yeah. Huh. Billy Side was really such an odd name, and I just didn't put together Sue Side. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
All right. Well, from here, after Devin gets back, Kingsley lets Nikki and Devin know that On High in Blue Tomorrows is actually a remake.
Yeah, but as we know, the meanwhile promise, Devin wouldn't do a remake.
Of course he wouldn't. God.
I wouldn't do it. I really like Justin Theroux.
Yeah, he's
I think
great.
he's great in this. And Freddy is the one who figures it out. We're told that Freddy figures this out. He's a very interesting character. Is like he also touched in some way like the Visitor. Just he references old Hollywood too, as if like he's been around for a very long time, a very, very, very long time. Like these stories, like the oldest radio play in history.
Oh yeah, he does. Right. What does he say? Like
he says something about Clark Gable.
That's what it is.
Or
if you have
like
an assistant that can hold his liquor like this, he's like, since Gable's not around. Yeah.
And we hear about information being the most very valuable commodity.
Yeah.
And of course, this is when we find out there was a German film, Wir Sieben, that was started and never finished. The title of that translates to 47. 47, of course, is the number on the door of the rabbits. So again, tying us further to the rabbits and how they're connected to this. We're told the producers hid this information from the creators. Nikki claims to know nothing about this. And this is the line that I love, like...
After the characters had been filming for some time, they discovered something inside the story.
Please, Kingsley.
The two leads were murdered.
Something happened before it was finished. They discovered something inside the story. So again, the Phantom coming out of the story and destroying it from within. And the two leads were murdered. And the way he laughs after delivering that the two leads were murdered is beautiful.
Oh, God.
I love it. And it's a remake of a film that in it of itself is a remake of a Polish gypsy folktale. And Inland Empire is kind of a remake of...
Yeah.
Because the characters are doing things that they're doing. So it's like remakes within remakes within remakes, worlds within worlds within worlds.
Plans within plans.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's just great. And we already heard about old kind of Polish gypsy folktales before. We had that folktale from The Visitor about the boy in the birth of evil and the girl in the alley and the longest running radio play. So it's like we've got the longest running radio play in history, X and N.
Yep.
We've got the opening with the story of the prostitute and the John. We have On High and Blue Tomorrows. We've got Rabbits, right? We've got Inland Empire. Like, we have all these stories, and they're all connected. It's just awesome.
Yeah. So
they're all part of the greater X and N.
Well, it's just that loop of the story and people changing parts or changing the story as they go or becoming different characters is great. Whenever at the very beginning, I don't know if there's any significance to this, but when we start in this scene, we see the title page, like you said, and we see the author of On High and Blue Tomorrows. But the camera comes over and focuses on the word tomorrow, tomorrows for some reason. I don't know. Just thought it was an interesting thing because we were talking earlier about the Visitor saying if it is 2 days from now or if it's tomorrow, and just those things together. And are there other references to Blue Tomorrows later, or some other line that references Blue Tomorrows later, or something like that? That title comes back.
Yeah, at the end.
No more blue tomorrows. You on high now, love.
I just to be really literal, like On High in Blue Tomorrows, it's such a strange turn of phrase. I'm not really sure even what to make of it. I don't know if you have any ideas.
Well, they talk about blue being...
Well, there's the blue and the red throughout all of this as well.
There's the blue and the red throughout all this, but then there's the woman, I think, on the streets, like, there'll be no more blue tomorrows.
That's
for
what
you,
it was,
or whatever,
yes.
when she's dying.
Street girl, yeah. Oh, no, yeah. The woman, yeah.
Nikki Grace and Susan Blue. So her name is Blue.
Oh, why did I not write that down
so
someplace?
It's like On High and Blue Tomorrows. Like she's to tomorrow being like it's happening again. It's a cycle that keeps going, and she looks like she's doing tons of drugs. So she's high as hell.
Oh, okay. It's very literal. She's on high blue.
But yes, her name's Blue, and then it's all good. Working class. There are the color blue. There's the color green. There's the color red.
Do they say her name, Susan Blue?
I don't remember if they ever
Maybe it's just
say
in the credits,
name.
and I missed it in the credits.
It's in the credits.
Okay, because I feel like that would like Billy's Side was one that really stuck out, and I just didn't realize that like And it's also like sides for a scene. It's what you do to audition for a scene as well. Just anyway. All right. Well, beat that dead horse. Back at Nikki's home, Nikki and her husband Piotrek meet Mr. and Mrs. Zidowitz.
Yeah, very short scene, but it's coming right off of the Polish thing.
Yeah.
Like we're hearing about this old Polish folktale, and then we cut back, and if not for the credits, I would have thought that she was meeting her husband's parents.
That's what it looked like for sure.
I would have walked away the rest of my life, but if you look at the credits, the last name is Zidowicz. And then he says to her, like, you don't speak Polish, and she answers no, and he says a half. Again, it's coming back to that variation.
Well, and he says it to Piotrek like it's a question.
Yes.
A half. Like I thought she would understand this. Like, and he says in Polish, you didn't understand. Does he say in Polish you didn't understand what I said, or does he say that in English? Now I don't remember. Shoot.
No, he says she understands more than
she
understands more than
what Mr. Zidowitz says to her. In the translation, he says to her in Polish, you didn't understand what I said. And Nikki replies, I don't understand, which I just thought was funny that she's repeating. It was all for nothing. Don't worry. Forget it.
Okay. But you're saying he's saying something in Polish, yet she's understanding
No,
it.
She's not understanding it, but she just happens to use the same, like, you don't understand? I don't understand. Almost as though she does understand, but she doesn't actually understand.
Or does she? A half. Like, that's the other thing. It's like, because she's the lost girl who does speak Polish.
Right. A half, though.
Right?
Yeah.
So, and again, a half of the lost girl. So, yeah.
The way that Piotrek said, I think she understands more than she lets on. And his eyes. He acts with his eyes. His eyes are scary. But it also, to me at first, I don't necessarily believe this now, but when I first saw him do this, it felt like he was like almost trying to get her like, come on, honey, like play along with me. I think she understands, but that's actually not at all how I read it now. It's like, it's almost this indictment of her that she really does not, she doesn't know this bill is due. She doesn't know what's actually really happened, but she does actually know. She's just not letting herself see it yet.
Yeah. I think you have to consider that we're told she cannot remember that there's an unpaid bill.
Yeah.
And it hints that maybe she is not so innocent, or that there's something that she does remember. Maybe she's pretending to be a little bit more innocent than she actually is. And then we end on that beautiful moon.
She does say, but I don't speak it. So I think she understands more than she lets on, but I don't speak it. She's just not saying like, I don't understand it. She says she doesn't speak it, which is, I don't know. Anyway, yeah, which is
actually true. Like for a lot of people.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's people that they can understand it, but they can't speak
it. Like the half part of it is kind of interesting. Yeah. Anyway, his stare, my God, it just gets creepier throughout all this. Anyway, incredible. That was 30 minutes of a story.
30 minutes.
And the hour and a half to talk about it. So buckle in, everybody. Wow, this is just, it's really incredible.
We're getting high on Blue Tomorrows. Hopefully, if all things work out, next week for the next half hour. So we'll be covering 34 minutes and 58 seconds to 1 hour and 21 seconds. So that's what you're in charge of. But you already watched the whole thing. So
watch the whole thing again, and we'll catch up with you. But thanks, everybody, for coming along with us.
Thank you for listening to the Meanwhile podcast with Dan Johnson and Eric Grissom. If you would like to support the Meanwhile podcast, join our Patreon. It's available right now. You can sign up, and for just a few dollars a month, you can keep this show going, and you can get access to some exclusive podcasts and some secret stuff that you're not going to find anywhere else. So if you'd like to join, go to ericgrissom.com/meanwhile and look for the Patreon link. If you like our show, please consider rating and reviewing the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you're hearing this now. Meanwhile is produced by Eric Grissom and Where's My Robots? The Meanwhile theme song is written and performed by Paul Finn and Evening Pines. If you want to let us know what you thought of the show, you can reach Dan at danjnj.com, both on the web and on Blue Sky. Eric can be found on Blue Sky at ericgrissom.com, which is also his website. It's also me, right? That's weird. We'll see you again. And in the meantime, be good.
Listen to the sounds.
Meanwhile.